ensayas rápido, no te sabes poner pie. Lo ensayas rápido, no te sabes poner pie. Lo ensayas rápido, no te sabes poner pie. Lo ensayas rápido, no te sabes poner pie.
Hello, welcome to Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small.
And I'm Paul Ogden.
This is December 15th, 2012. We are shooting from Melissa Donaghy's place on North Central Avenue in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a gray, kind of rainy day.
It sure is.
Our guests today are Dave Scott. Dave, how are you?
Doing well.
Good.
To be here.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Bill Levin. Bill has been on the show a couple of times before. And Melissa Donaghy.
Hi.
First time guest, long time viewer.
Welcome.
Welcome. May the force be with you. We're here to talk about world peace, but things kind of changed yesterday in terms of world peace, and things kind of became focused in talking about peace and violence in society and things with the shootings that occurred at Newtown, Connecticut in the Sandy Hook Elementary School. And so all of a sudden we're talking, I was going to talk about gun control to some degree because of gun violence, but now we're faced really with looking at a really prevalent occurrence in our society, and that is violence. And if you talk about peace, it's got to be daily peace. People want to live in peace. And then you got this that happened yesterday, which was, as my understanding is, 20 elementary school children were killed, 6 adults were killed, and then the shooter himself offed himself. Is that the total, or did I miss
That
one?
sounds right.
Was there people injured as well? Or?
One person was injured and survived, is my understanding. And also, it's my understanding that the individual had an assault rifle and 2 semi-automatic pistols, and he was wearing a weight-bearing vest, which meant that he could put backup mags for his guns. He was wearing all black with a mask. The mask part I don't get. He was the son of a teacher there. The teacher was killed, but actually at his home. He shared that home with the teacher, his mother, and then he went to the school and killed the children.
Yeah, I don't know the details of what happened, but normally when these schools anymore, they lock all their doors except the front one, and you go in and you go by office staff. So I don't know if they didn't see him or what.
No, I believe that the first 2 people he killed were the principal and the school psychologist, who were in the office at the entrance of the building. And then he went to one classroom and then started killing people, and children ran out of the place. But that brings up, first of all, when I was a kid, we didn't have to worry about locking the school at all. We were out in the country and nobody was going to come in and commit violent acts. I mean, that was kind of, nobody wanted to be there in school during the day, most of the people. But to have a situation where security has to be so high for kids in a situation like that, and then there's a breach of the security. This guy's mom was a teacher there, so presumably it'd be like, oh, it's Adam, we'll let Adam in, even though he's wearing all black with a vest with clips for automatic weapons sticking out of them and a mask. It just didn't make sense.
Right. So
you think it's a false flag? That he got in like that?
I don't know. I mean, we won't know for a while, as the Connecticut State Police guy said last night. We won't know until this investigation goes further. That's not a cliche, it's true. I mean, they're going to try and find out what they can.
And we don't know what kind of the security situation was. A lot of schools don't, especially out in the country, don't have any.
They had just upgraded their security procedure, and I don't remember the details. I remember reading about it, but I guess it was just the day before that they had implemented a new security procedure. but the article I read didn't know whether or not that new protocol had been followed.
Well, and it was the principal who was killed who developed the new system that they had. But it all comes down to the question then of, and this is what we were discussing when we were off camera before we came on, is the extent to which guns should be restricted, if at all, or if they should be allowed at all.
And we should point out that in doing this discussion, we're not trying to disparage the memory of the people who were shot.
Oh, no.
We've had, you and I have been talking about guns ever since we, started the show, and we've just never really done it as a topic on the show. I don't know.
No, we haven't. We haven't, and that's one thing that's happened after these shootings, and I've commented, I blogged, or gone onto a blog on, and I don't know if that's the way to describe it. There was a blog, and I went onto a thread up in Kokomo after the shooting of Congressman Gifford a couple of years ago, and I said, well, this shows why we need gun control, and somebody said, well, see, you're jumping right on it, as though I were taking advantage of the fact that somebody got shot. So we're supposed to wait to talk about gun violence until a period of time has passed. Well, we don't have those periods anymore. Right. We have this happen every couple of 3 days.
And the topic of the show, though, let's not get off topic, but the topic is to discuss policy ideas that promote peace. So,
Simple policy. Give everybody a pint of cannabis oil in their medicine cabinet and give them a pistol or a rifle of their choice for their household. Everybody will be fine.
Yeah, but they'll sell the pistol or rifle to be able to order a pizza. and then we all will have peace, and we just buy back the guns and melt them, and everything's fine.
Well, I think the thing to realize with this situation, the reports say that the guns were legal.
Oh, they were purchased by the guy's
mother. So
but that doesn't mean that he had them legally. He didn't. I'm sure he didn't have a license to carry them.
right, but if he purchased them legally, or she purchased them legally, then they had access in that home to those weapons, and he's a 20-year-old young man. So even with gun control, that's what we want. We want the ability to know where the guns are, who has them, and limit them. So he came down a legal path to do a diabolical deed.
Well,
It was. I'm sure it was a gun-free zone in the schools, as almost all the schools are now, which I blogged on today.
he started off by, what, killing his mother?
Yeah.
Which means he probably had a fight with her to get to the gun case.
Well, no, they had an argument, but it's not clear what the argument was about. It could have been that in the course of the argument, and we don't know if there's a gun case, maybe the guns were just sitting there. During the course of the argument, he grabbed the gun and shot her. We don't know about that. We don't know the context of the argument.
Okay.
But here's the thing about firearms in this country. I mean, where I was raised, my old man had a handgun under his recliner in the living room. There was a shotgun under the couch. There was a handgun on top of our refrigerator. And why the hell there was, I don't know, because if you ever had my mother's cooking, you'd know nobody would want to try and come in and steal it. There was a handgun in my old man's nightstand. There was a shotgun under my brother's bed. We had 7 or 8 long guns stacked together at the bottom of the stairway going up to the 2nd floor. There were guns all over the place in our house. So it's like, and there were all through the neighborhood, people had guns. They were quite prevalent. I don't think that's wise. I mean, I came out of it okay, but I just think that was kind of silly having all those guns laying around. Our house was broken into at one point then, and lo and behold, the guns were stolen.
But did you guys have a weighted vest, a mask, and a plan? Everything points to premeditation with this event.
No, this was just dumb negligence. I mean, my family.
Oh, well, yeah, back then we didn't have any training in safety. We didn't know, keep your guns in a cabinet.
Yeah.
We used to keep them up on the rack, free
yeah.
to grab off, but, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, or my old man said, any gun is loaded. Never think that a gun is unloaded.
Yeah.
Any gun is loaded. I mean, that was just one thing. But then
That's why you never point at somebody and pull a trigger, ever.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's an element to this, because especially when we're talking about creating an environment of peace, there's an element to these shootings that needs to really be evaluated. these shooters are trained. They're trained. Where do they get their training?
Video games.
Video games. When you have the ability to sit in front of a television and watch skills at the level of military and police, and then you can engage yourself in that kind of training.
And they're very realistic.
Desensitizing too.
Yes, they're very
Oh,
realistic.
Oh, they are desensitizing.
And if you
yeah.
have issues with thinking,
Because of your psychiatric medication,
the side effects on the medication can make an antipsychotics can backfire just like any other drug. You know, there's more side effects to Prozac than there is to cannabis. These drugs react with people differently. And as you pointed out earlier, everybody who has been a shooter has had some kind of mental stability issue and is on not only one kind of drug, but a regimen of drugs. And when they test drugs, they do not test drugs when people take 6 different drugs at once. They test one drug at a time.
And to be clear on this too, doctors only take 1 semester of pharmacology in medical school generally, and when they prescribe a medication, and not to knock docs or anything, but when they prescribe a medication, a lot of times it's on the basis of what salespeople are telling them these drugs will do. And so they might prescribe 2 or 3 drugs, another doc prescribes 2 or 3 drugs, they don't necessarily know what each other is doing, and so you have these combinations, these side effects from the combinations of drugs, and people end up doing seriously bad things.
Well, I think the whole realm of video games has to be considered a drug. There is such consumption, and back in 2004, when the video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out,
Yeah.
that took the whole industry from Super Mario Brothers and the athletic games. Yeah, and Frogger, there you go. And it took it from the realm of play to the realm of just unbridled violence. So the San Andreas, the whole Grand Theft Auto was this guy who just got out of prison, and he's just walking down the street and just blowing everybody. Somebody had killed his mom, so he's walking down the street and just blowing everybody away. He's stealing cars, he's changing weapons as he's going through this whole thing. This opened up a whole new venue for the video game world. So now we've got excellent effects. We have the latest weaponry. We have military training and police training involved in all this.
Training in how to use the weapons, how to unload, reload, lock and load, shoot,
Yes.
everything's right there.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah, they hire special op guys, say, hey, you're retired, you want to make $60,000, $100,000 in a few hours?
Yes.
Do the schematics on this shit.
Okay, but that's protected by the First Amendment. We have to get down to the point that
I got no problem. If you have a disturbed child or an obsessed child who is playing video games for 25 hours a day, you have an issue. It's the parent's issue to deal with the child's issue. But when you put that child onto 16 kinds of meds and say, well, the child's fucked up, yeah.
Or Bill, even one med.
Even one.
One can do it.
Any of them. It's the side effects, ladies and gentlemen.
we are at the end of our first segment. We'll be back in just a minute.